Greetings! What is up and a very warm welcome to the channel. The sun is shining and the magpie is casting. Coming to you all this lockdown Blursday, what are we on now, 6th of May, I believe? Yes. With another live 1 versus 1 battle fresh from the top of the Company of Heroes 2 ladder. Featuring on Kolodny Farm, spawning in the west. It's gonna be loads of Chinese characters. Oh wow. Okay, well, we're actually going to have to think about what to call these players, because spawning in the east, playing as the Soviet pieces, it is going to be Kanji. So, again, this is the same Kanji player who I suspect, or who I've been told, is the real Panzer Grenadier in Griefen. And like, I can read 4 of these characters because they're not kanji, they're just kana, which is super easy. So we got Akua and Shi there, but I mean, without being able to read these kanji, it doesn't mean a lot. So we're just gonna call this person Kanji for now, because even though I've been told this is the real PGA, there's no actual way I can know for sure. So looks like Kanji here. Oh god. So what are we gonna call west spawning OKW player? I think we're just gonna have to call him OKW, or yeah, I think OKW is just gonna have to be their name. OKW versus Kanji. That's what we got here. So yeah, it looks like Kanji is gonna go ahead and pick the guard motor coordination tactics commander. Yeah, this is a pretty safe pair of hands. This commander, one that we are actually seeing really prevalent on Soviet rosters, and which is sort of a bit unusual for a safe commander. Like, I feel like this commander, it doesn't really give you any super aggressive options. It just kind of oils the machinery of how Soviet operates at pretty much all stages in the game. You know, giving you access to a special or a sort of like a relatively elite infantry squad to help you through in the early stages of the game, and then, you know, helping make your vehicles better in various ways, and then helping you deal with enemy vehicles. Those are all things that Soviet forces have an interest in doing in pretty much any game, as long as you don't get bopped in the early stages. So yeah, this is a super safe commander. Like I say, I am quite surprised that we see it so much in the meta, because it's not as pokey as some of the other commanders. So, and normally at the high ends of play, you need your commander to deliver some actual sort of new avenue of play or new way of exploiting value in the map or something. And it's hard to point to any ways in which guard motor coordination really explicitly does that, but clearly if the top players of the game are valuing him as much as they are and putting him in their roster as often as they are, then, you know, the value must be there. And I have always liked this commander, so I guess I'm glad that players are sort of using him as well. Looks like OKW is going to be running with Fortifications Doctrine, Elite Armor Doctrine, and Feuersturm Doctrine. A pretty fine trio. Probably going to make a choice when they feel comfortable doing so, and then we'll know slightly more about their intentions, how they want to play this game. Now hopefully this is PGA. There were quite a few observers in this game, so I feel like we ought to be in for some pretty high level stuff here. So that's pretty exciting. Early builds, nothing sort of super exciting. We've just got Kubelwagen, early Kettenwerfer here. That, I suppose, is in response to the fact that we've scouted penals, so this is likely, or the option is there for a scout car. Yeah, there it is. It's a rare day that you go for the Special Rifle Command and you don't actually get the scout car. Like, that is a weird thing to do. So yeah, the Kettenwerfer is going to be useful here. That's going to provide a measure of insurance against potential damages being inflicted by a rampant clown car. The flamethrower is done on the engineer, so that clown car can be coming up in a second. And as we wait for the clown car to come out and the action to begin in earnest, I'll do what I usually do and just talk about stuff at the beginning here. You know what I should really do is actually prepare a list, or like have some general idea of things I'd like to talk about, rather than just announcing that I'm going to talk about stuff that isn't the game and then being like, yeah, but what? So let's have a think here. What's going on? I don't know. I did have a little poke around on Magic the Gathering Arena last night. I've not really been in touch with Magic very much recently. The reason being is I love Magic the Gathering Arena. I think it's a great thing. It's cool that you can actually enjoy Magic, interactive Magic, and play it with friends and play against strangers and just enjoy Magic the Gathering for free on Magic the Gathering Arena, and it works. It's a very slick program. It's relatively intuitive. It's quite a good tool for learning the game and things. However, my primary interest and my primary motivation in Magic is always going to be paper Magic, because for me, I really like sitting across from my opponent. I like using Magic as a tool to meet new people and share ideas and just kind of hang out with the community, and just I've always had a great experience with Magic the Gathering players and the community, you know, in the physical sort of being in the same room sense for well over a decade now. I mean, I've been playing Magic since I was like 6 years old or something. I got started right at the start of Magic, and although I haven't been playing like every single year of my life since then, I've always been in touch with Magic, and it's always been dear to my heart. So, but for me, like I say, it's always been about sitting down opposite your opponent, and it's always been quite a social experience for me. So if I'm not doing that, I actually find it quite hard to sustain Magic elsewhere in my life, just because, you know, I'll be playing Magic the Gathering Arena and all it makes me want to do is grab a deck and go out into town and play some people, and I can't do that at the moment, so it's quite frustrating. But I did open Magic the Gathering Arena, and it turns out even though the new set Ikoria is out, there, ooh, nice grenade, no response there, these guys are going to burn. But yeah, even though the new set is out, none of the old cards have rotated, so all of my old decks are still good. So I did actually stream a little bit of Magic last night. It was a private stream just to some friends, but it was fun, and it just made me realise how easy that is to do. So next time I boot up the arena, start taking some skulls out on the ladder, maybe even this evening actually, I'll see how I feel. Oh, we got a potential squad wipe. That's a squad wipe. Wow, that's pretty unforgivable. OKW just neglecting to fall back a squad there who were just taking sporadic rifle fire from penals. That's pretty bad. Obviously, we've got the cutoff here being exploited by West spawning player because this is Kolodny Farm and that's what it's all about if you spawn in the West. But yeah, as I was saying, yeah, so I'll probably fire that up and bust out some of my sort of more familiar decks and have some fun with that. So yeah, let's see, what else are we doing? Animal Crossing still largely keeping me sane. That's just a great game, that turns out. Oh my god, are we going to get... This is just... Okay, thank goodness that's not a squad wipe. There's just brutal amounts of damage being inflicted here, traded between these two players. Let's see, we kind of already talked about the new Command & Conquer game that's coming out. Although it turns out, actually, Frontier Development, I think it is, are now developing a new RTS, and it's going to be set in the Age of Sigmar. That's a Games Workshop sort of IP. So if you like Games Workshop stuff, and especially if you like the Warhammer Fantasy style sort of Age of Sigmar stuff that's going on, well, you'll be glad to know Frontier Development are apparently developing an RTS. Frontier, they made Elite Dangerous, and they also made Roller Coaster something or other, and... Theme, something or other. They make a whole clutch of games, none of which I'm super in touch with, to be honest. I mean, I do play Elite here and there, but that's about it. So they're a safe pair of hands as far as developers go. Ooh, hello, that was a mine. They're a British developer, and Games Workshop are a British company, so there's natural synergy there. You can kind of see why Games Workshop have approached Frontier to handle their IP. And yeah, it's that's going to be interesting. Some years away, of course, actually. That's going to be quite the project. Age of Sigmar is like quite a deep and diverse universe, and there's a lot of assets that they'll need to model, not to mention designing the game and all of that kind of things. So I heard that they're scheduling release for somewhere 2023, and I know that's a long way away, but at least it's something to get quietly excited about. RTS, fair to say, not the most well-supported genre these days, and so any news of an incoming, exciting new RTS has to be very welcome. So 2023 is going to be... That's a demo charge. Uh-oh. Ooh, good hit, but not good enough. Yeah, so any RTS news is good news, and 2023 is going to be quite the year for RTS, in my opinion, because I believe that's also the year that Homeworld 3 is scheduled to be released, all things being well. So, yeah, this is all distant future stuff, but I am sort of glad that RTS is at least seeing some support. And as I said just earlier, we've also got Command & Conquer to look forward to in June, I believe, so that's exciting. Let's see. What else is going on? I see some countries in Europe, like France, Germany, I believe, and some other countries around the world, are easing their lockdown measures. Now, I haven't really read into the specifics, but I have to say it does seem early. I mean, the virus is still ripping through the population at an ever-increasing rate. We're still seeing more and more new cases every day. And, I mean, it just seems, I think in Germany, was it, or some countries, they're like reopening restaurants and stuff, and they're reopening theaters, and it's just like, they're just making people sit one seat apart and stuff, and it's like, you know, that's not how viruses work. It's not like you instantly get infected as soon as you're within 2 meters of another person. You know, like, the virus particle lives on surfaces and such for like more than 24 hours. You know, it's like, I just feel like everyone's kind of just like dealing with this whole thing like playground children, and like somebody actually needs to sit down with the people who are making the rules and tell them what the reality of viruses are and how they work. So it's a little bit frustrating, I suppose, to see so many awkward decisions being made at a high level by national governments. And it's also a little bit awkward, I suppose, to watch the sort of response of some people around the world. I mean, we've all seen disturbing images from America. That seems to be America's primary export these days. and you know, there's a lot of weird stuff going on. Now, I don't want to get too political or anything, but let's just say I'm watching with interest from over here, because, I mean, I haven't got very much else to do. And that is, yeah, I don't know, it's interesting stuff. Some of my new streaming hardware, to change the subject completely, some of my new streaming hardware has arrived. I'm still waiting for some of it to arrive. Once it all gets here, then we're going to have another try at setting up with the Switch. And, you know, using my new big screen, which is in the other room. And, you know, that way we can start streaming some Call of Duty and some Halo, which is like FPSs that I play and love. Actually, yeah, speaking of which, Halo Reach, I've been playing that one again recently. God damn, what a great game. I don't suppose many people actually know this, since I don't really talk about it often, if ever, I believe, on the channel or anything. But I am actually quite good at Halo. Like, it is one of the things that I am unashamedly able to say, I will probably kick your ass at that game. Like, I've just been playing Halo way too much throughout my entire life, all of the Halo games. But Halo Reach was my real forte. I was, like, disgustingly good at that game. And some things never change, man. It's nice to, because now the Master Chief Collection's out on PC, it's nice to just rock back into Halo Reach, and it turns out that I am still utterly devastating. You know, I don't want to, it's rare that I feel like I'm genuinely very good at a thing, so when I feel like I can confidently say I am good at it, I am not afraid, I am not ashamed to say, dude, like, I am both a natural and I have thousands of hours experience, and you combine those two things and I am just quite good. I mean, I even surprise myself sometimes when I'm playing Halo Reach. There are some things that I've done and I've got replays that I've saved where I'm just like, that is some spectacular stuff. And, you know, watching myself, I'm just like, this is pretty cool. So anyway, enough blowing my own trumpet about that. Let's just say it's fun to be back out on Halo. I'm loving that. And, you know, Call of Duty is a much more light-hearted style game, which is just like, I'm gonna go ahead and say it's less skill focused. That's not to say you can't be as highly skilled at Call of Duty as you can at Halo. I'm not making that argument at all. I'm not some elitist punk idiot like that. I'm just saying that your average fight in your average game of Call of Duty is usually less skill intensive, because there's just a lot more going on in that game. There's kill streaks flying around, there's all sorts of explosive ordnance, there's just a lot of stuff in that game which is not supposed to be skill intensive. Like Call of Duty, you can play it in a really skill intensive setting. You can play like pro formats. You can take things out of the game and make formats, and people do play it at a high level in tournaments at MLG and stuff like that. But if you're just playing Call of Duty in lobbies on the internet, like, you're not playing it in that style, so all the bells and whistles are turned on. It's a bit like playing Smash with items turned on. It's like everybody knows we're just doing this for a laugh. Nobody's like super concerned with like proving themselves to be the best player, and for that reason it's great fun. You know, you just get to have some hilarious adventures and watch awesome battlefield stories unfold. And Call of Duty at its best, and the most recent Call of Duty, the Modern Warfare it's called, is Call of Duty at its best. Make no mistake, this is the best Call of Duty game they've ever made. At its best, it literally just makes you feel like you are in an action sequence from a John Wick film, or from, like, name your favorite action movie. Basically, you feel like you're in there. The graphics are so good, the movement and the options available to you are so intuitive, and the action's so fast and furious. You know, I recently watched Extraction. It's a film starring Thor on Netflix, and actually a really entertaining film. Finally an action film, not afraid to like try some experimental stuff and do things differently, which action films need to do. Like, the action film genre has been alive so long. We've all seen so much stuff that a film really has to do something quite special to hold my attention these days. And Extraction did do that in some ways. It was still quite a hackneyed storyline and stuff, but there were some unexpected twists. There were some nice cinematography and things that they did with fusing together angles with like an unobtrusive use of CGI to like string together shots and things. There was some great camera work, let's put it that way. And a lot of sequences from that film, I was just like, dude, this literally almost could be like a replay of like a Call of Duty game that I have played. You know, so much stuff, so relatable. So from that point of view, Call of Duty, especially the most recent one, is just really fun, really refreshing, light-hearted, cinematic action. You can just blow off some steam and have some fun with that. It's good. It's good. I'm enjoying that, and I would like to stream that, but I don't like to play Call of Duty so much on the screen that I have over here. I like to play it in the other room on my much bigger screen, because it's just a much more cinematic, immersive experience that way. So hopefully we can get the streaming set up in there, as I've been intending to do for so long, and that will be really fun. But anyway, yeah. So I've been playing some Call of Duty, playing some Halo. playing some Magic the Gathering Arena. That's all been fun. That's all been keeping me sane in lockdown. And I guess, I mean, I have also been working. Work's actually been quite challenging, as you might imagine, because all, in this country at least, all non-essential stuff is basically on pause, and the definition of essential actually doesn't really cover a lot of the things that I have to do as part of my work. So trying to find workarounds and achieve the stuff that I need to get done is actually quite fun. I relish a challenge, so I'm glad that I've got something to kind of be thinking about and get my teeth stuck into. So yes, yeah, I reckon that probably concludes today's Magpie update. I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to bore everyone with the details of exactly how I'm breeding flowers in Animal Crossing and so on. So let's turn our attention back to this game, because we're like over 15 minutes of the way in. There's been some decent action, but pardon me. But I haven't been commenting or focusing on it too hard because it has actually been largely sort of fairly standard. The OKW player is behind right now in terms of the scoreline and has been suffering from map control. Kanji here has been applying pressure, but that is pretty much standard for how we expect to see Soviets looking against OKW through these stages of the game. I mean, not in every game, but just often. So it looks like we've got our first T-34 about to enter the field. The T-70 has been out for a while now, and that's been quite profitable. Penals, guards, looking pretty smart out on the field right now. There's a Zis gun in the mix-up as well here for Kanji, which is going to provide an additional measure of AT resource, and it is on OKW right now to try and get something done. OKW rolling with quite an expensive composition. Double Obersoldaten is... That is, you can be ground down and taxed for having these units, but if they go on to flourish, if these two units make it to like 3 or more stars of veterancy, then all Soviet infantry is on warning. Like, that is a horrible place to be as a Soviet player. Soviet 6-man squads just get gunned the hell down by Obersoldaten once they have decent veterancy, so that's a real thing. Now, this flag half-track has also been providing value as well, but it's also on notice. This gun going to get set up in a nice position here. That's going to force the half-track back. And can OKW hold as the T-34 comes wailing in, immediately gets the upset on the Kettenwerfer. Going to pause here to take some shots into the Kettenwerfer crew. The fullback comes down. Now he could probably hunt the flak half-track if he wants to. Schwerpanzer HQ is over there to provide cover, though, so it's not going to be a freebie. That flak half-track has a measure of protection. Oh, wow, he's actually going to get the Kettenwerfer? Oh, no. Was that one of the Kettenwerfers? No, sorry, that was an MG. My bad, my bad. Well, still, killing an MG is also super material and relevant. That is not a squad you want to be losing if you're the OKW player here, so yikes. Things going from rough to worse here for OKW. Still no commander pick, and still no game-ending damage inflicted. Holding on to, as I often say, the bare minimum of 1 fuel point and 1 VP right now is OKW, so we'll have a shot at redemption in the later mid-game, we hope. And looks like, let's just quickly check the tech here for our Soviet player. So actually the complete tech tree here. Wow, every single tech building present and ready. So that is why we have a Maxim on the queue. And I like diversifying the infantry roster in this fashion at this time. For Kanji, who's probably PGA here. This seems like a pretty cool time to be going for a Maxim gun. You have a pretty good position on the map. You have a pretty healthy composition. You are in the market for a way of controlling this powerful OKW infantry, and the Maxim is kind of core infantry-esque insofar as it actually can take a couple of hits. Yeah, I know it still has bonus received accuracy onto it. I know it's not the most durable unit, but unlike an MG34 squad, for example, you're okay with a Maxim taking a little bit of fire. And it can vet up nice and quickly, and it's appropriately costed at 240 manpower, I believe. I believe, unless they have changed the cost of this. Oops. Yeah, it's 260 manpower. There you go. Yeah. The community balance team just tweaking the numbers behind the scenes, and that does make sense. 260 manpower does make sense. How much is an MG34 these days? 250, yeah. So the MG teams have had their costs adjusted a little bit, and I'm a little bit out of touch with that, so that's interesting for sure. So Schwerpanzer HQ is down, Panzerorth is done. We're coming up to Panzer IV money. Pardon me. Pardon me. Good. Let's look to see what fuel spending unit we'll be having coming out here for our OKW player. Looks like for Kanji though, it's going to be a Katusha, and this is adding just another dimension to this Soviet army. I'm loving the composition choices and the unit selection choices coming out from our suspected PGA player Kanji here. So this is going to be a very formidable composition. And I think OKW is already struggling to deal with the Soviet units on the field, and a Katusha is going to be just another dimension of hell. I mean, you're basically not going to be able to access this Katusha unless you get lucky and your Panzer IV, which is now on the queue, is able to sort of break through and overrun onto the rocket artillery. But that, I mean, something has to have gone wrong by that time for that to occur. And this Katusha, I mean, there's just a really good chance it's going to be able to rain death and deny access to the victory points if the game comes to that sort of dynamic later on in the game. So I like the choice of the Katusha. It's just going to take a speculative barrage. Finds the MG34, so that's kind of a nice thing there. And just kind of puts the Axis player on notice here that, yep, there's a Katusha, you better... Oh my god, these rockets, these OKWs, these Obersoldaten, careful, bro. Don't want to let them get tagged by a Katusha. Demo charge? No, sorry, it's just a grenade coming down into a position over this hedge. By the way, I did Google it. The actual word is speculative. I just, for some reason, my brain always tries to insert another T sound in there. So I'm like speculative or speculative. Yeah, so it's just one T sound, speculative. I just need to get used to just saying the correct word. So yeah, Panzer IV is here now, so we'll see if he's going to be able to close in the kill on one of these Soviet armor units. Explosive HE barrage comes down oosh, off of the Zis gun, finding a nice hit on the crew there. Forces both of the AT guns away, which means actually this Panzer IV now unsupported against this T-34 with a Zis gun here. So that's pretty worrying times. Going to have to reverse away for now, and if we crack the tack, we can see the position becoming increasingly compacted here for the OKW player, unable to make any meaningful impact on the Soviet hold on middle of map. And if Kanji/PGA is able to access the north of the map as well, this game could end quite quickly. So on thin ice right now, OKW, a lot of work to be done. Down at 254 and ticking under 463 as well. So just needing to get something done. But I mean, it's all right. We've seen OKW and Wehrmacht many times, this being the game plan, where you fall behind in the early stages, particularly against USF and then Soviets, and to a much, I mean, not really against UKF, but against USF definitely, and against Soviets a little bit too. You do tend to fall behind in the early stages of the mid-game, and then stabilize later on once your enhanced veterancy, your amazing Axis equipment, and your heavier Axis armor starts appearing on the field. So definitely this game is within acceptable parameters for OKW, even if it's not going super well. So we just got to keep an eye on these next engagements. Hopefully he's not going to lose any critical units. Manages to use Storm Pioneers to break through these guards up here in the north. That's actually a nice defense there. That's going to enable these Obersoldaten with a Panzer IV to think about cycling round onto the flank of the Soviet forces. Those are mines though. Oh, that's a shoe mine. Okay. Lots of mines here. This is Soviet mines. Those are Axis shoe mines. Just having a look around, seeing if there's any other mines. Sorry for the frantic camera panning. It must be a little bit disorientating. So, alright. Soviet mine, they're going to blow up an Obersoldaten. There's an additional TM-35 mine here as well. So these Obersoldaten are going to move towards it. They really want to get some shots on this Zis gun. Oh my god. Sometimes T-34s just kill two Obersoldaten with one shot from their cannon, and it feels so bad. Instant veterancy onto the T-34. Very nice. So let's see, is he going to complete the tech tree? No sign, no inclination of wanting to do that. A second T-34 going to be coming out. That is a T-34-85. So that's a pretty smart choice, to be honest. You've got a T-34 and a T-70, so those kind of act as like fire magnets and screening units for your more valuable, higher punching T-34-85. So this actually is quite a nice unit. I mean, you normally hear me being skeptical of adding T-34s into Soviet armies, but I feel like if you're ahead, it's a good idea, and a T-34-85 actually does offer a little bit extra diversity. It's a slightly more potent threat. So that's acceptable to me right now. Rakettenwerfer here actually finds this T-70. There we go. Looks like PGA or Kanji, gonna move it back out of arc there. Maxim gun comes forward into mid, and that's gonna make life really annoying for the Axis player. Increasing that annoyance for the Axis player right now is a load of rockets coming in from a Katusha. So how many rockets barrages does it fire? Is it 4? So that's the third barrage. Here's the fourth. Yeah, so you get 16 rockets, 4 times 4 rockets. with the Katusha. It's just interesting to note. 4 kills, a little bit of veterancy on that. Nothing to write home about, but the threat of the Katusha alone is actually value by itself in a way. And, you know, there have been many fights here, or at least one fight, where he's forced away the Rakettenwerfers by using a Katusha barrage, and then, I mean, the job is done. The Katusha doesn't need to do any damage at that point, because then you can engage profitably with your tanks, and then everything feels great. So here comes the T-34-85. The T-34-76 is just behind it. It's going to come rampaging through. The Kettenwerfers had to fall back, I believe, so they are back at base, yeah. So this Panzer IV has to play it a little bit cautious. Oh, I love how they got the female driver in the T-34-85. Definitely let her have the best one. Don't know what it is about Soviet tank crews, but like my like female operated Soviet tank crews just seemingly always do really well, and my male operated ones just tend to like die before they get 2 stars of veterancy and usually get used as ramming fodder. So that's 120mm tube coming in. Nice, not seen this for a while. You know what else is nice? The Jagdpanzer on the queue here for OKW. And that Jagdpanzer actually is going to change the dynamic of this game, because it's actually quite hard to take a fight when you've got T-34-85, T-34, T-70, and your opponent has Jagdpanzer, Panzer IV. Now, the Jagdpanzer, I'm going to say Kolodny Farm is actually not the best, so demo charge going to use to destroy Kettenwerfer here. The Jagdpanzer is actually not the best on Kolodny Farm. The reason for this is Kolodny Farm kind of almost has 3 lanes, and so that actually makes, with all this line of sight blocking terrain and all these different ways of moving through the map, that actually means that it's easier than on most maps to flank the Jagdpanzer. And that's how you beat Jagdpanzers, of course. They do not have a turret. Where is the Jagdpanzer in all this? Oh no, it's idle in base. There are shots to be taken out here, man. So yeah, it doesn't have a turret. It can be exploited when units get around the flank. Looks like the flak half track gets taken out there. And looks like Oversoldaten are going to give the crew on this. Oh my god, he actually gets the Zisgun out of there with veterancy intact. So that's nuts. And now, yeah, I was just going to say, surely the Katusha is just going to blunt the advance by just making sure everyone has to run away. Yeah, and that's why rocket artillery is good. Oh my god, we don't want to be losing Storm Pioneers right now. So, okay, salvaging a really nice fight on the back of what began as a nice engagement for the OKW player there, but Kanji, just with all the tools just to cover this advance, is like, okay, you appear to have broken my position, but now you have to pull everything back because I have a rocket artillery unit. So rocket artillery units are like that sometimes. It feels like you have to take 2 good fights, because the first one you'll have to give up your position because the barrage will come down. That's how they feel. It's almost like an extra life sometimes. A sort of shield to prevent your opponent from making any significant gains out on the map. So T-34-85 comes forward. We know about the Jagdpanzer now, so he has to be really careful with just armoured move-outs and units. Probably wants to get another Zisgun, but actually at unit cap right now. That's awkward. That's really awkward, actually. Katusha going to take a turbo risky turn out here. What are we doing? Are those She mines? They're TM-35 mines. Where are we going with this Katusha? Oh, he really wants to take a sneaky close range shot here. Where are we going? I don't know what he's doing. Oh, the Jagdpanzer's going to turn to face where the Katusha is. Come on now. What do we do? Did he accidentally select the Katusha with the T-70 perhaps? Oh, Jagdpanzer's going to... Oh, he's kind of coming down this lane. If he moves any further forward... Oh, this is potentially a mistake, because now a T-34 can access the rear of this unit pretty easily. That's really scary. I don't know about coming out like this. Leaving it here is fine, or here even, but like once you come past the edge of this hedge, things get scary. See, now he's already like not taking shots because he came too far down here. In my opinion, that was a mistake, but there we go. Tank destroyers are so positional. Because you don't have a turret, positioning and moving is everything. So I am always really critical of players when it comes to that kind of stuff. So, okay, yeah, Katusha going to start hooning in again. Not really sure. Okay, yeah, he just wants to get rid of this Kettenwerfer, I think. Just applying pressure, looking for value, looking for damage. He's nearly got a star of veterancy on that. He's actually finding a bit of damage here as well. Oh, that'll do it. That'll be a star of veterancy. Nice. So that's the increased reload time. Oh, no, sorry. That's the creeping barrage unlocked. Rate of fire is at 2 stars of vet. Didn't realize. But, I mean, the Axis player has broken out onto the map in a pretty substantial fashion. Is able to access other VPs on the map as well they need to, down at 171 under 461 now. So I will say it's a touch awkward for the Soviet player that they're at unit cap, because you actually can't reinforce these units now. So the Zis gun is just really fragile for life. Okay, he loses a Maxim gun. Not the worst unit to have lost, but that one was still really useful. Uh-oh, the Katusha coming under fire here, coming under a lot of fire here. So fragile, the Katusha, and it feeds a lot of veterancy, which is actually turbo-relevant when it's feeding it onto Obersoldaten. Now here comes the Panzer IV looking for a fight. The Jagdpanzer maneuvering in now as well. Let's rotate the camera so we can hopefully catch all these armoured units on the screen. So he's going to destroy the Zis gun. So we lost the Zis gun, we lost the Maxim. I'm actually going to go ahead and say I think that's probably good for the Soviet player. Can we fit in? So it's 15 unit cap for an Su-85. That's the goal here. If we can just let him... it might not be a bad idea to just let him have the T-34 here. Like, come in for a risky moment and just try and let him have the Vet 2, like, lame T-34, because it's kind of rubbish. He's going to get around the sides... Oh, he's going to lose this one, though. Oh, that's not what we wanted. Okay, but if he trades it for the Jagdpanzer, that's so big. Uh-oh, you can't lose both T-34s for nothing, though. Oh my god, how is this Jagdpanzer bouncing? Whoa, come on, mouse. How is this Jagdpanzer bouncing so many shots? Now he goes for the Su-85, realizing that that's definitely the right choice. Oh no, this is so bad. Okay, well, you don't need me to tell you that was not great. He's lost a Zis gun, a Maxim gun, and both of his tanks in the last phase of play. He definitely needed to lose something to get the Su-85, so that's okay, but you definitely wanted to pick up the Jagdpanzer. Not getting the kill on that is, like, really tough. Katusha just going to blanket some rockets in here, but for no real effect. But, I mean, the most important thing out of all of this, though, is that we get the Su-85, and that provides a real answer for this Jagdpanzer and the Panzer IV, and just changes the dynamic of play. So I still think transitioning into and accessing this composition, still a net upside for the Soviet player. Would have liked to have done it without losing quite so many units, but that's okay. So gets the gets the Su-85, still has 15 spare unit cap. Probably wants to get like a Zis gun and one other infantry squad, I'm going to say, to get to fill out this unit cap. Maybe another guard squad. They seem to be doing pretty well out here. Oh no, the Obersoldaten are going to get... Oh god, yep, they get wiped. Oh no. Oh no, you can't afford to be losing infantry squads, man, because there's just not enough time left in the game where you're realistically going to be able to get up to a strong composition as the OKW player. Did he complete the tech tree? No, okay, so we're not on KT plan. That's probably fine. Like, a Panther would be fine here, so that's okay. He can spend his fuel in profitable ways, even without the KT. That's acceptable. I was just wondering if that was the plan. T-3485 is... Actually, that's a 76 is going to be the rebuy. Not sure about this, to be honest. So the 76 costs 10 supply, and the 85 costs 14 supply. So he's going to be at unit cap either way. So why are we going for the 76? Like, he's going to be left at 95 out of 100, and you really can't fit anything meaningful into the 5, can you? I mean, you could get an engineer squad, but I still feel like you had the fuel, you had the manpower, probably just go for the better tank there. Yeah, he can fit a 3rd engineer squad. Okay, so here comes the T-34. Su-85 here just trying to be profitable, taking shots, doing what it does. And, I mean, Kanji's plan in this game has to be just to try and get a victory. Just hold on to the victory points here. Oh no, he's going to get the Panzer IV. That might be game. Well, we'll see if OKW wants to continue playing this game, even with the Panzer IV being lost here. Su-85 will have that one for breakfast. Now he needs to rotate because he's taking fire. Ooh, he needs to GTFO, actually. This is dangerous now. That's a lot of AT resources. We're coming forwards! He's going to lose the Su-85. What are we doing? Ooh. What just exploded there? Was that a demo charge? I'm not sure. I don't think it was a demo charge. I didn't see one. Is he going to get the Rakettenwerfer? Yeah, okay. That's over. You can go ahead and leave the game now if you're OKW here. Just lost too much infantry. That's the problem. I mean, it's all good and well. You can repair your Jagdpanzer. You can get another Panzer IV. But I just think, how are you ever going to... I don't know, actually. A lot of squads doing nothing back in the base here. I mean, Kanji does actually have to win the game by, like, taking the victory points. So until he does that, I suppose you don't have to leave as OKW. But this game is now in, like, long odds to win. And I'm going to have to say, actually, this is just... Oh, no, he's going to lose the T-34 here. This has just been like another game where I feel like the fortifications doctrine has been god-awful. I feel like most games I've seen it picked recently, it's been god-awful. SU-85 is going to try and take some shots through the hedge here, but it won't get any shots through. Okay, that's kind of a problem actually, because our only real AT piece in the Soviet army is the Su-85 now, and there are 2 targets. So the Su-85 actually can't deal damage fast enough to take out one of these targets before one or both of them get up onto the flanks of the Su-85. So yeah, we do need to rebuy a T-34 here. That's the correct choice. Obersoldat and just getting blasted to bits by 120 mil death rain. Yes. I would like another squad of guards to be mixed into the roster, because they're just so good against so many targets, and any damage you can chip in with PTRSs onto the Panzer IV or the Jagdpanzer is super relevant when your Su-85 is out there sharking for shots. And the DP LMGs also mean that you kind of just beat most Axis infantry, or at least can contribute in a really meaningful way against killing them. So guards pretty much do everything you want. They're also pretty durable for Soviet infantry as well, so like... I wouldn't hate another squad of guards, that's what I'm... Or, you know what, actually, another squad of engineers would probably do the same job, more or less, because it's really just about capping points. And they can also repair stuff, and they can get a flamethrower on them, which is pretty decent. And they only cost 5 unit cap, so... And they're a lot less manpower, so there's an argument for a 3rd squad of engineers here as well, they'd be fine. We've got a lot of munitions here for PGA/Kanji, so we can totally like start just putting down demo charges everywhere. Another reason why you might want more engineers. He's just desperately trying to claim mid here. He already has the double cap 117, the most famous Spartan. Going to be the number of tickets remaining here for OKW. Gets decapped in mid. No, he doesn't! The fallback coming down a split second too soon there from PGA. Oh man, that's relevant, because getting the decap, even just the decap on this point, would have doubled the attrition rate that OKW is experiencing. So that's pretty big. Now this Jagdpanzer is at 2 stars of veterancy, so that's when it gets the improved armored skirts, so that's durability buff, and it now has improved sighting as well. Oh yeah, so it gets a forward frontal cone of vision now, kind of making it on par with the, not quite on par, but it's like similar in feeling to the dude sticking out the top, the scouting focused sight mode, that's what it's called, on the Su-85. And of course it now has the stupid Predator camo, making it definitely in the conversation for best tank hunter in the game. Like, this is stupid. The fact that it has active camo is stupid. This should not be a thing. 2 stars of veterancy now on the 120mm tube, increases shell accuracy and rate of fire. That is pretty much the best thing that you could ask for. OKW troops managed to access the southern VP, and that is massive. That's all they need to do. So they're going to get off the bleed here, 96 tickets or so remaining. And every second this game crawls on is a little victory for OKW here. T-34 is going to come down here to be the fast-moving unit that's going to try and police these Volksgrenadiers, but there was a Panzer IV in support, so the T-34 is going to have to respect that. Su-85 is going to be tasked with moving on over to deal with the Panzer IV. So now the Panzer IV on death's door. Marked vehicle comes down. Such a good ability. Even the T-70 could get the KO blow on this Panzer IV now, actually. Su-76 is going to come across here. There's the shot! Oh, and he misses it. He didn't have focus sight turned on. Well, I suppose he did want movement speed over focus sight there, but that is a little unlucky. 120mm tube here coming under significant duress. 4-star Obersoldat and do not take prisoners. Neither do Jagdpanzers. That'll be a dead T-70. Su-85 going to traverse here and attempt to take on the Jagdpanzer, but you've got to be careful. This Jagdpanzer on 2-star and vetting up quick. And there's another Panzer IV coming out. OKW being so ballsy to just not regenerate or replenish his core infantry squads. That is just like, wow. And, you know, PGA or Kanji or whatever, it's just going to call him Kanji. Kanji having a hard time trying to actually access these VPs. Oh no, what are we doing out here? This is a really tough way to lose your Su-85, man. You're not going to win in a... The rate of fire on the Jagdpanzer is better. Oh no. And if it gets the first shot... Oh, well, that's game-ending damage. Well, it's game-changing damage. Oh, he gets so lucky. If that shot hits, this game looks so different. Wow, he doesn't have the fuel to be losing his Su-85 right now. Whoa. Man. PGA, or Kanji, in significant danger of throwing the game to a large extent there. I mean, now we're in a really dangerous place, actually. OKW are a hell of a faction. What, are we going to try and fight without the Su-85? Dude, just let him have mid for a second. It's okay. Actually, you know what? He's going to try and establish the triple cap, so this is worth it. Forget me. I don't know what's going on. I'm not very good at casting RTS. Nah, he gets the triple cap established, so that's huge. Watch the tickets start falling away, and that's all that matters in this game, so that's fine. Su-85 is being repaired. The gun is ready again, that's the main thing, so the Su-85 can at least shoot again. Whoa, one of the Panzer IV is going to get spit roasted up by T-34s here. Is that a 3-star light gun? Oh, wow. Yeah, sure, I've not been paying attention to that thing the whole game. Whoa, though, guards just like ripping into that. He's having to use it to try and cap, to try and not lose the game. Axis forces will make it onto the North VP. That's going to buy some more time, but it's not going to be enough by itself. The Jagdpanzer here, just turbo exposed, risk ahoy here. But, oh no, is that a satchel bomb? Oh, sorry, it's just a frag bomb, but it still kills 2 of the Obersoldaten. Now potential of a squad wipe? No, he's still got some health to give. 5-star Obersoldaten, though, have been achieved. So that's pretty cool. Achievement unlocked. And now the Jagdpanzer, broken gun, has to GTFO. 2 stars of veterancy, nearly 3 now on the Su-85. It's stupid how few penetrating shots an Su-85 needs to take before it's Vet 3. Like, it vets up so fast. And I'm not saying that's bad design. I'm not saying it's a problem with the game. I mean, it's just eye-watering, though, sometimes. How, like, in less than a minute sometimes, or 2 minutes sometimes, of firing, it seems, the Su-85 can be a 3-star vet. It's like, wow, okay. You know, for an expensive unit to vet up that quick, it's, like, pretty wild. So these Volksgrenadiers just continuing to push forward. Both players getting a little bit desperate to try and grab these VPs. Has that Katusha been firing? Oh, he's nearly ready. Okay. Can you imagine if the Su-85 could load like an anti-infantry canister round? That would be so good. So just constant T-34s, ablative T-34s coming out onto the field here, and that is fine. Whoa, we're not capping this. I mean, this is game-changing. These guys have been here for a little while. Oh no, that's so frustrating. That's so frustrating because your opponent's on 41. That is real value that's being missed. He doesn't even cap it. He's going to task them with going somewhere else. Bro, you didn't cap the VP, eh? Oh no. What's up with that, mate? This game's gotten real scrappy. I mean, it still feels pretty over, but it's taking a lot longer than it should, which is making me a little bit nervous here for Kanji. Marked vehicle comes down on the Panzer IV. T-34 is going to move on in from every known angle to try and abuse the stricken Panzer. Well, it's not quite stricken, but it's in a bad way for sure. He's going to get one more shot here. It's a miss, so the Panzer IV will sneak away. Alright, Penal Squad going to be taking mid. Guard's going to be taking north. Is this the moment that the game is won here? The Su-85 is going to get the first shot onto the Jagdpanzer. Gets its 3rd star of veterancy, so that's pretty huge here. We'll get a parting shot here as it rolls out of town. So 4 stars, though, now on the Jagdpanzer. Dun, dun, dun. Starting to look real scary. What does it get? So we've got armored skirts, improved durability and sighting. We've got greater efficiency, increased, so that's the faster and the rate of fire at 3-star. Now we've got improved rate of fire and accuracy again, so it basically never misses and it fires like a submachine gun. And then we've got better camouflage, it can penetrate armor and inflict. Oh, so it gets ambush damage at 5-star, okay. Oh no, the Su-85 is exposed. Loses the Panzer IV though, and the Su-85 will sneak away. T-34 gets up on top of the Jagdpanzer. Has to give it up though, because now he's back in front of it. No, you have to give it up, man. You have to give it up. 8 tickets remaining. Axis taking south, Axis taking mid. So will he get off? Yeah, he gets off the clock with 4 tickets remaining. But he's just got no infantry, he's got no real units left. I mean, this is not a cohesive fighting force that the Axis player is left with here. He's on 1 ticket. Oh, he gets that. Oh, it's so good. He's nearly got the 5-star Yagdi. Where are you going? He's going to lose the Yagdi if he just drives around with it like this. Where's the Su-85? Why are we not punishing? Oh, here it comes. Oh my god. You can move this tank, you know. You don't have to just leave it here to die. He's just leaving it there as bait. He just wants the Yagdi. He knows if he gets the Yagdi, this game's over. Stay still for the shot. Don't move. There we go. Okay. Come on. Come on, OKW. We can leave the game now, please. Please leave the game. Alright, so another squad of guards comes onto the field. I might just fast forward this one because it's basically over. Katusha gets used. Volk's Grenadier is just going to feed in for reasons. They get out alive somehow. Soviet forces get onto south, and that's what we needed to see this game end. What an amazingly weird game. Bizarre. Like, just so many weird choices with armor from both sides being just thrown around the map in strange ways there towards the end. But a great game nonetheless. We saw a 5-star Jagdpanzer. We saw a 3-star Su-85. So Magpie is happy. Players were using tank destroyers in appropriate ways. That's fine. That's fine. So we're just going to hop onto the ladder here and see if we can spot anything else worth casting. Let's have a look. It's got to be good. Caster and Bruce. Von Lewinsky and Coast on Vilshanka. Oh dear. Doesn't really look like there's any good players out here. Oh well. We're just going to take a risk and cast some players that we've not cast before. Let's see what's going on here. I'm just going to go and grab myself some water. I will be back with you guys momentarily. Okay. Alright, so, spawning in the west on Vilshanka, playing as the OKW pieces and opting to use Luftwaffe ground doctrine. It's gonna be Von Lewinsky, and spawning in the east. Playing as the Soviet forces for Mother Russia, it's gonna be Coast. So, been a hot minute since I've cast a game on Vilshanka, actually. Not much to say about this map, to be honest. Like, I like it. It's a fine map. Done. Thus ends the Magpie analysis of this map. Well, Von Lewinsky going ahead and picking a commander super fast definitely has a plan in mind. This is their comfortable preferred style. No interest in even waiting for these abilities to unlock. Just going to click the button. That's fine. Coast here running with Soviet Airborne, Urban Defense Tactics, and IS-2 geezer on the end. Who's this? Armored Assault Tactics. That's the one. So Armored Assault Tactics gets you the radio intercept and the so this is the Sturmovik attack with the IS-2 commander. Yeah, okay. So I reckon there's a pretty decent argument for saying that this is Soviet's best late game commander, like, because you just get the combination of IL-2 Sturmovik with IS-2, and that's an amazingly powerful composition if you are in the late game and you have lots of resources to be using them. So it's going to be a techless opening so far for the Soviet player. And, well, we'll see what we're going to see from Von Lewinsky once the fuel and the resources are there to make a relevant teching choice.
Volksgrenadier, ready for action.
Volksgrenadier. Both players doing early game stuff. Sorry if I'm a bit quiet. My voice right now is just an asset that I must preserve. I can just kind of feel my throat hurting a bit, and that's always a warning sign that I need to take it a little bit easy. So far, so standard here. Still techless for the Soviet player. We got triple Volks, Kubelwagen for von Lewinsky. So, yep, all very normal. Everything checks out. Nothing suspicious. So, we don't really have the munitions for that, actually. What has Coast been spending munitions on?
The enemy has cut off a sector.
It's just Ura. Has he just been Ura-ing loads? I guess so. Well, Volksgrenadiers and the Kubelwagen taking pretty decent fights here against just conscripts, which is quite easy to do, to be honest. If you are fighting with just naked conscripts, Vet 0 naked conscripts, you will lose your average fight. And that's okay, actually, for Soviets. You know, you can, at the sub 5 minute mark, it's okay to be running around with just naked conscripts losing fights. You can still just take areas of the map and move into the later phases of the game with a plan that works. That's okay, it's acceptable. Looks like it's going to be a battle group at HQ opening here, which is kind of all we're seeing these days out of OKW players, and I'm fine with that. I think this is quite a good map for a light gun as well, so that's pretty cool. It's just one of those maps where you can just have the light gun like around on this screen in positioning and like just firing shells into like large areas of the relevant play area of the map. And, like, from here it covers just a load of relevant stuff, and you can push it forwards and move it backwards as and when your front line moves, and that's just a really sort of... It is low micro intensity for just kind of constant reward. It's not explosive reward, it's not going to do the most damage incredibly quickly, but it's just consistent value. If you babysit it for the game, it'll have paid for itself and then some, so... Seems like a pretty safe map to go for that. Medic's going to be coming down pretty early here, so 100 manpower, 15 fuel going to be spent thusly for von Lewinsky. Still no sign of commander pick here for Coast, so I guess it's probably not going to be Soviet Airborne. This is a good map for Soviet Airborne, but it's probably not going to be that, because if it was, well, we could have the crates of SVDs already on the way to help these conscripts out in their struggles. So perhaps he's going to hold on. I feel like this is not the best urban defense map, although I could well be wrong. I mean, those light AT guns and the KV2, and this is just turned out to be a really good commander now, hasn't it? Urban defense tactics has just got some great stuff. And actually, this is a good map for shock troops. Plenty of cover for them to make use of and get around the map and get up on top of their targets to let those PPSHs blaze. Fallschirmjäger moving out onto the map now. So Coast will, if they're paying attention, be able to figure out what they're up against here in terms of commander pick from their opponent. Nice grenade there, going to force these conscripts out of the building and probably force a fallback from the conscript squad. Oh wow, actually, he turns it back on the Volksgrenadiers and is able to actually force them back. Fallschirmjägers moving out into mid-map. So I believe they get 2 FG-42s to begin, and then you upgrade them with the other 2 for 60. Yeah, so they've got 2, that's right. Zisgun on the queue now, which means support weapon Campanile is done. That's a bit awkward. I guess you have to get the Zisgun these days, because actually OKW players are using the flak half-track like quite a lot. So even with no flak half-track coming out, that is causing damage in a sense, insofar as it's forcing your opponent to get a Zis gun and not a Maxim. And a Maxim is strictly better pretty much against all these units on the top left. But you feel like you have to get the Zis gun, because if your opponent goes for a flak half-track, then you just die. And also, we don't know for sure if we're coast. Like, we actually haven't seen what the tech is. So if your opponent is going for a Panzer II as well, like, you kind of need the Zis gun to not die. So I get it. It is going to be Soviet airborne. SVDs are now starting to appear on these conscripts. We've got one squad with them on. We've got enough munitions in the tank to call in another box. There's 60 now, right? Yeah. So this commander was kind of nerfed in the last patch, of course. The SVD drop-off crate went from 45 munitions to 60, and I think that that's appropriate. 60 is like that's a fine cost for such a good upgrade. Zis gun in a good position here, going to poke down this Kubelwagen. If the conscripts actually focus fire, oh no, they're forced back by some Fallschirmjäger coming in a timely manner, so the Kubelwagen survives on a pixel. I thought the focus fire could come down from the conscripts to destroy that. Maxim gun will be the next weapon team of choice here coming out for Coast, and that makes a lot of sense. The Maxim gun is going to help mitigate the elite infantry that we see coming out of this early juncture from von Lewinsky. And this is just one of those maps where Maxim guns just can constantly be profitable anywhere around the middle of the map. A lot of points to cover, a lot of victory points you can overwatch. There are even some structures in north and south of the map that are okay to have an MG in. So Maxim gun, just a great choice. If you would get a mortar after that, I think that would be quite sweet. Don't know, actually. Don't know, we'll see. It's curious to me that he's only called in one box of SVDs. Why are we waiting on getting more? Like, we've got conscripts falling back. I'm sure we'd love to put SVDs on them, right? We've got enough munitions here. Flamethrower! It really annoys me how my mouse does that. I just cannot get it resolved, where just sometimes when I click middle mouse, the mouse just like flails off in a certain direction. It seems to be only when I'm playing Company of Heroes. Like the most frustrating thing. So yeah, the MG34 getting added into the Axis roster here. Sensible stuff. Basically nothing noteworthy from either of these two players. This is just a very good standard game of Company of Heroes 2 that's being played here. I suppose it is noteworthy to say that the Axis player actually having the score lead at the sub 10 minute mark is a little unusual, perhaps. But we are talking about two squads of Fallschirmjägers here, and that will give you that measure of control in the early game that you don't really get elsewhere as OKW. So that's how come we see that, I think. And, you know, as long as Coast doesn't let things get too far out of control here, you know, should be fine. MG34 gets set up in a lovely position, and but there is actually a Maxim here already, so if he can get some line of sight on this MG, or vice versa, and these MGs could actually be opening up on each other. Actually, the Maxim... Oh no, he's going to catch both these squads. Maxim gets set up. I think he can hit that MG squad. Oh no, just instantly has to fall back. Yeah, because there's too many Fallschirmjägers on the dance floor here. I think we probably want another Maxim, actually. Or is he going to... I mean, a T-70 would also do. No Tank V Battalion Command, actually. Coast floating a ton of fuel. Not really spending these resources in a particularly effective way. Like I say, going for Soviet Airborne, but then only calling in one airdrop is, like, weird. Is this going for a Maxim, not a Dansak, which we can also call in? Kind of weird. I mean... Yeah, it is just kind of weird. Like, you've just got enough munitions. Dansaks are really good, and in a way the Dansak is kind of cheaper, like, because it's only 125 manpower and then you just reinforce the conscript squad up to 6. So, like, yeah, it's 50 munitions, but what else are you spending munitions on right now? And a Dansak is like such a strong deterrent for these elite infantry. So yeah, we're not calling in Dansaks, we're not calling in weapon crates. We are teching at last, there we go. But this is quite late. Like, I mean, if you wanted a T-70, it could have been out by now, really. So I'm a little confused to some extent by the choice of commander and the way it's being applied by Coast.
Our territory is falling into enemy hands.
And if we crack the tack, we can see the front line in quite a fluid situation right now. Soviet units about to start trying to push these Axis units out of south. Fighting going on across the midline and in north as well. But it's safe to say it's the Axis player who's kind of getting the upper hand in most of these fights. The elite Axis units really kind of finding their mark against this Soviet composition, which to be honest lacks spice. It's just conscripts for the most part and a Maxim. Like, that is not scary, really. Which is why I'm amazed that he's gone for this commander and has the munitions, but we're not seeing SVDs come up on these conscripts, because if you want to do this composition, then your spice when you pick this commander comes from having SVDs on your conscripts. That's your early game spice. And like, you know, the access to Danzak and so forth. So it's just kind of strange to me that he has all these resources but is not activating them. So, okay, Tank V Battalion didn't finish. Oh, that's a little bit awkward. So these engineers are just going to finish it here. I mean that you never want to not finish a building you started, so I think it's fair to say some mistakes were starting to sort of creep in here for Coast. And was that a squad wipe? Yeah. So some engineers go down there, and they didn't actually need to. Axis forces just gaining additional value here. And it's going to be straight into mechanized armor Campanier. This I actually like. So we do actually have enough resources here where when this mechanized armor Campanier finishes, we're going to be able to take a choice from it relatively rapidly. So it could be a quick T-34, that would be acceptable. It could be a quick Katusha, that would be more fun and acceptable in my opinion. This is too early for an Su-85. There are just no targets. That would represent just a waste of resources right now. Schwerpanzer HQ is done. Panzer authorization has finished, and we've got like Panzer-ish money here for von Lewinsky. Like, you know, we'll have the manpower in a second to spend this fuel, and then we'll see, you know, Panzer IV or save. Pretty much going to be the options here. Another creative SVD is going to come on in. Better late than never. And it's going to be a T-34. This is fine, but it's still the least spicy option for me. There's already a Kettenwerfer on the roster, of course, so this Kettenwerfer is actually valueless until a tank comes out. So in a way, you are just turning on one of your opponent's units. Okay, more SVDs appearing now. It seems like Coaster's just suddenly remembered, like, oh. But, I mean, imagine if he'd have called these in a timely manner. This is like 10 minutes worth of SVD less combats that he's forced himself to engage in, and it's just every little helps, doesn't it? You know, SVDs like really do increase the damage that your conscripts do when they're shooting stuff. So you know, we could have had these SVDs down here a long time ago. If that was where the munitions were going to be spent, you know, having numbers down at the bottom here, that is actually not battlefield value. It enables you to access battlefield value, but like just having big numbers down here is not good. So having the numbers being red down here, having the munitions stacked for the last 10 minutes, you know, it would have been better if those were SVDs firing into Axis dudes. Fair to say. T-34 gonna substantially break a lot of the Axis stuff here in the north. The scoreline differential has opened up to a pretty worrying extent, to be honest. We're like 16 minutes into the game, the Soviet player trailing by 200 tickets. And that's pretty worrying. Panzer IV on the queue, and you know, I look at the top left and I look at the top right, and the Axis player's composition is just better. I mean, these are essentially even armies, except for the fact that the Axis player has elite infantry instead of conscripts, and the Axis player has a Panzer IV instead of a T-34. And the Axis player has an MG-34 instead of a Maxim, and like, okay, with the MG it's less pronounced, but all of those other things I mentioned are just strictly better for the Axis player. Like a Panzer IV is just better than a T-34, and like Fallschirmjäger, generally speaking, are just better than conscripts. Like the conscripts do a couple of things better than Fallschirmjägers, but usually if you could have one or the other squad, you would probably grab the Fallschirmjägers. So yeah, this T-34 is going to be existing in a world where there's like 5 Faustable squads, a Kettenwerfer and a Panzer IV out there. So I feel like it's actually going to have a hard life moving forwards. Kettenwerfer gets set up, so we're going to see some shots into the... Oh, is he being blocked by this hedge or something? It's just kind of weird that that Kettenwerfer wasn't firing there, but... yeah. So I think that Coast needs some extra AT resource. Now it's acceptable to go for an Su-85, because your opponent has a Panzer IV, and, you know, you can go... An early Su-85, in some senses, is the best Su-85, because then, by the time the nasty Axis armor starts coming out, you've already got veterancy on the Su-85, and, you know, it still cleanly answers the Panzer IV and so forth. So, anyway, we've got a good push here. Fallschirmjägers and Volksgrenadiers sensing weakness, actually, just pushing in. Uh-oh, T-34, are you going to get Fausted? He's not kiting quite fast enough. Okay, he's alright. But having to give way here, and this is the most crucial area of this map. This map almost always comes down to just like grindy, bludgeoning battles for control over this area of the map, and so the Axis player pushing the Soviet forces away from that area is pretty big. Storm Pioneers are not actually repairing this map. Okay, he sees it. There we go. But yeah, Soviet player's position becoming super compacted, losing 2 tickets per tick right now. It's also pretty bad. Could buy a Katusha right now. That would be okay. That would definitely take the wind out of the Axis player's sails, because once again, you can just force them to fall back their infantry quite a lot. And that does let you get onto the victory points and stop your opponent getting onto the victory... Oh no, it's going to be another T-34, really? Why do Soviet players do this? I don't know, I just don't feel like it's a... T-34s... Everybody knows how to beat them. They're not a difficult unit to beat. They're not really a sustainable unit choice. They don't tend to live that long. You know... So why are we buying a second T-34 now? It feels like we're already fighting fires. But, alright, fair enough. I mean, he's going to go for it, and he will have 2 T-34s, and, you know, you can get up on top of weapon teams, you can kill the Kettenwerfer, you can get around to the sides and rear of the Panzer IV with 2 T-34s. You know, you can make stuff happen. They are fast, they do good work against infantry, which is the majority of this army, and stuff, but, I mean, I just feel like you already have a T-34. Why not diversify your roster and present a new kind of threat that your opponent has to respect? Why not choose something that cuts down their options and lets you add utility to your army that wasn't there before? That's where I'm coming from. I think for me it's always especially egregious because Soviet players always build these second T-34 when they're like floating like enough fuel that they could have just taken another unit, and it's like, anyway. I feel like I go on about this so much on the channel, I really have to like shut up about it. So let's see. So there's a Kubelwagen just kind of skirmishing with Soviet infantry up here in north. Nothing. Has he just finished AT grenades? Holy 20-minute AT grenade research. Woo! That's some pretty late AT grenade research, but at least it's there. So that Panzer IV could get caught out. In fact, I believe, yeah, he killed the Kubelwagen. Maxim here putting on a heroic display, really keeping these Volksgrenadiers back. It will get beaten at some point. Here come the 2 T-34s. Bit clustered up here, find themselves right under the arc of a Kettenwerfer, so they're immediately just going to take some hits and have to fall back. Kind of the fight they wanted there was to come in from this angle. Oh, are those She Mines? No, that's it. So you want to come in from this angle and threaten the Panzer IV, which is stricken now. Do we see that? He sees the Panzer IV. Let's get in there. This is a Panzer IV kill. Yeah, let's roll. Let's roll. So you want to try and get like 1 T-34 behind, 1 T-34 in front of this Panzer IV, I think. Oh, but they're both going to go in front. No, they're just going for the Fallschirmjägers. Dude, there's a stricken Panzer IV. This is so a Panzer IV kill. We're letting this Panzer IV just get away. And he loses his Zis gun. Well, okay. And when the dust settles, I mean, look at the top left, look at the top right. I definitely still like the Axis player's army better. He's going to have a second Panzer IV here in a sec. And now that your opponent has 2 T-34, sorry, now when Coast is, in a second, Coast is going to scout the fact that his opponent has two Panzer IVs. Okay, if he builds a third T-34, I'm just going to lose my shit. Like, I mean, I'm not actually going to lose my shit. But I'm not. At this point, I just give in. Like, if your opponent has 2 Panzer IVs and you have 2 T-34s, an Su-85 can hide behind those T-34s and make your opponent's Panzer IVs valueless. Like, they're going to be so hard to fight with. Or, right, or, as the Soviet player, you can buy a third T-34 for some reason. And for some reason, that's what all Soviet players do. What is this? What are we doing? Oh, okay, he's got the IL-2 Sturmovik attack. Okay, suddenly it makes sense. Whew. Okay, I forgot about that. I was just like, oh my god, but now he's still rebuying a T-34. Jesus. So he trades a T-34 for a Panzer IV. That's fine. That is fine. We didn't have to do it in such a sort of like desperate way. I mean, that was a lot of munitions, but it's still fine. We get the job done. And now we end up on 2 T-34s against 1 Panzer IV. So I guess he has materially improved his position. I can't be too critical of that last phase of play. It's just there are better ways of killing a Panzer IV. I'm pretty sure. But anyway, that's the way Coast has done it, and it did work. 100 munitions plus the price of a T-34 to beat a Panzer IV. It's fine, absolutely fine.
Supply sector under attack.
It's even good. He's just not playing Soviets the way I like to see them played. God damn it. Why can't everyone agree that my favorite style is the best? Donk. We're under attack.
More of our troops have been lost.
So yeah, Ziska gets decrewed there, but I mean that's not the most momentous things that happened. He'll be able to re-grab that, I hope. T-34 starting to actually make a bit of progress. Finds a Rakettenwerfer not set up. Gets a bit of damage on that. That's fine. Meanwhile, it looks like in the south here, Volksgrenadiers and conscripts who are still SVD-less, this particular squad, sort of skirmishing. Incendiary grenade comes down. That's going to cause the fallback. So I think we have to buy a Katusha or an Su-85 next, right? That has to be the next fuel spending unit of choice for the Soviet player, I believe.
Conscripts can now throw Molotovs.
Nice little push here from the Axis player. Fallschirmjäger's going to be making a pretty deep inroad here. They're getting kited by T-34s though, so these Fallschirmjägers have to give way at some point. Ooh, we're walking in big time. Whoa, just loses the Fallschirmjägers. That's a bit unfortunate. T-34 here comes in for a ram attempt, but there's just too many AT resources here. The Panzer IV enough to bop that one down. So some questionable moves coming up from both players here. Perhaps that T-34 should have been away from the fight a little bit earlier there. And Coast is not playing with a commander which has a sort of late game... I mean, neither of these two players actually are playing with a sort of late game fuel-heavy choice. So there, no IS-2, no Tigers or anything like that going to be the Hail Mary plan for either of these players. Ooh, this T-34 getting picked down by a Kettenwerfer has to give way. Can I have a mortar tube added into the roster here for Coast? And that's nice. That is nice. Bit of a weird time to buy it though, because you know we have enough money. If we didn't buy that mortar tube, then we could have bought like a Katusha or an Su-85, which are more impactful. So, kind of taking issue to. I mean, you know, one note from me would be maybe don't buy this tube. Just delay it a little bit until after your more important fuel spending unit is out. You know, you're not literally dying for lack of a mortar tube in the meantime, so That's okay. Another Panzer IV coming onto the queue here. I swear to God, if he builds another T-34, I'm just... I just don't know where I'm at with Soviet players. I get it. Oh my God. I get it, man. The T-34 is a good tank. It's okay. But have you considered that the answer is not always another medium tank? Oh my God. So he's volunteering himself to try and take on double Panzer IV, double Kettenwerfer with double T-34 and a Zis gun. The Su-85 just provides so much more momentum, right? Because the Su-85, one of them alone, as long as you support it and micro it correctly, which is not that hard. It's not that easy. You do have to do it. You have to get it right, but it's not rocket science. Oh no, loses his conscripts. That's gross. You know, so then one Su-85, it beats any number of Panzer IVs really, but I mean, it certainly will do well enough against two of them. Definitely with a T-34 to hide behind. That's fine. Oh no, we're kind of coming for another rocket strafe ram here. You know, that's okay. And an Su-85, it's so good because it basically also ensures you against Panther tanks, to a certain extent Jagdpanzers, it ensures you against KTs, and it just makes it... I mean, Axis's primary strength in the late game is their armoured units, and Su-85s make it miserable to use those units. So, like, that sounds great, right? Here comes the rocket run. That's a miss. And that's kind of a problem when you rely on these... What are we doing? It's T-34. Oh, God. Oh, no. Now it's a T-34 with a busted engine. Oh. If you try and use T-34s... And I'm going to, like... T-34s can cobble together these sort of, in inverted commas, desperate. Like, they are uncertain. They're like flaily kills, where you come in with the T-34, and the T-34 is sacrificial immediately as soon as it comes in this far. And then it's like, you can cobble together the kill if you get some lucky hits, if you get the ram, if the rockets line up. Like, there's a lot of ways the Panzer IV can die, but it's not a done deal. It's not certain. And you've just traded out two T-34s for a dice roll of killing a Panzer IV. And if that kill comes through, you're basically at parity. Like, that's a trade. And if the kill doesn't come through, which we've just seen, you're so far behind, you know? Why not actually get a unit that does this job, that scales well into the late game, that ensures you against other options your opponent can take, that reduces their number of viable lines of play, and makes it bloody miserable for them to use their strongest units? Why not just do that? Like, I don't know. I need to talk to some good players and ask them why people don't build the Su-85 more often. Because, like, what part of these T-34s has seemed cost-effective that makes you want to build another? Like, surely you have to be awake in this game and have seen what's been happening. I just don't get it. It's like when your opponent has like 6 Colossus or something, and you're watching the Terran player like try and counter it by building Marines, and it's just like, are you not watching what's happening here? Like... Or other RTS like analogs, you know, whatever it is you wanna, whichever RTS you're comfortable using an analog of. It's like you are not building the appropriate counters to respect your opponent's unit composition here, and further, you're not really paying attention to like what's happening with the choices you've made. But having said that, you know, okay, we've lost some T-34s. But we did get map control, we did get a triple cap for a while, we did close the scoreline gap. It's not all going bad for Coast here. You know, I'm just seeing the game in terms of things that I see it in terms of, because I have a very sort of well-defined play style, and I have a sort of quite well-defined sort of decision tree that I think a lot of players should stick to. And I'm probably wrong, I'm definitely wrong. I mean, I say this relatively often, but I am really just one guy with my perspective. So there's a lot of information I'm missing, there's a lot of skill I don't have, there's a lot of perspective I don't have. So we definitely shouldn't take my suggestions as rote, even when I go on rants like this. You know, these T-34s have brought this game into a place where the Soviet player is like trailing now by like, what, 70 odd tickets or so, and like still has a reasonable composition and has substantially eroded down his opponent's infantry composition. Like, you know, that's where the game is at. For better or worse, those T-34s have gotten us here somehow, you know. I'm trying to see the other side of the coin here. So, okay, yeah, I mean... Alright, is he going to build another T-34? I should stop getting my hopes up. Of course he is. It's just constant T-34 production. Let's let it rock. Okay, Obersoldaten getting mixed into the roster. That's okay. I feel like we don't have quite enough Volksgrenadiers to be pushing the points, but Obersoldaten are really powerful. Is that just a dead T-34? Great value, mate. Nice unit. That one did great. Sick. But you did lose it. Probably best build another. You know, because you lost that one, so it needs replacing, doesn't it? That's how the game works. If you build units and they're really inefficient, then you need to build more of them because they're being so inefficient. Oh my god. Who builds an Su-85 blast?
Enemy forces are capturing our supplies.
Okay, a lot of sort of scuffling back and forth here. I'd love to see some of these players like loop some units to the top and south of north and south of the map. Just try and bring some play to other areas of the map. I feel there's been like kind of a lot of play within this corridor, but then again, this map often kind of feels this way, to be honest. And it is quite difficult to flank around because you are still quite close to the units your opponent has in the center of the map. Here comes a smoke recon here from the Luftwaffe Doctrine. Panzer IV is going to get a bit aggro here, come in for some overrun. The Su-85 comes onto the field just in time to try and help out here, so it probably will make it into this fight in time to try and get some shots on these Panzer IVs, and that'll be nice. 2 Panzer IVs is fine. Oh, looks like the OKW player showing some interest in completing the tech tree right now, so actually is building up a bit of a fuel bank as well, so definitely could be on for a KT plan. Now we'll have to see how good the Su-85 micro is. Desperately holding in mid here. Maxim blazing, Zisgun blazing, conscripts here in support. Su-85 navigates up to the north where these Panzer IVs are repairing. Gonna miss its first shot, a little bit unlucky, but these things happen. Wow, Stormtrooper, sorry, Fallschirmjäger's getting cut down in mid, just desperately trying to get the cap put together on this point. Now Obersoldaten gonna feed in. This is what I mean, when you don't have enough this is Volksgrenadier work. Like, feeding in to try and grab points is Volksgrenadier work. Okay, so there we go. What? Wow. Was that a bounce? Fair enough. This Panzer IV is putting up some resistance here. Oh my god, this Su-85 just can't catch a break. Oh, what are we doing? Why are we turning this thing? The reverse button is what you're looking for, good friend. Alright, so because we couldn't find the reverse button, we take an extra hit off that Kettenwerfer. Now the Panzer IV feels plucky. I'm going to try and come in here. Zisgun is just doing other stuff, so this Panzer IV is actually getting a little bit close to our Su-85, which gets stuck on a building. Uh-oh. This is not the micro. Alright, conscripts to the rescue. If we can just break the engine on... What are we turning? Oh god! Just keep reversing, man! Alright, so we break the engine. That's fine. Now the Su-85 can turn and acquire. Now it's starting to get some damage. 2 penetrating hits. That's like a lot of veterancy on this unit. Now the Zisgun actually also turns, so now this Panzer IV is feeling kind of dumb. Okay, and that'll be a kill. And just so we're clear, what happened in that fight is the Soviet player kind of screwed up the micro on the Su-85, like, pretty badly. There's no way there should have been an opportunity for real damage and even perhaps a kill on that Su-85. But it's okay, nobody plays perfectly, we're all humans. I'm especially bad as a human. And so he made some mistakes, and still, scoring just 2 penetrating hits out of 5, one of the Panzer IVs is destroyed. Okay, yeah, the Zisgun gets the killing blow and was really helpful. Okay, yeah, conscripts were able to break the engine, and that was the basis for the kill. But, like, it's just great that the Su-85 was able to do enough damage, even miss-microed, even presenting opportunities to your opponent. Like, and now it's repaired again, it's fine. It's just back out here doing its job. Okay, this is a bit awkward, though. It's going to get Fausted. Actually, no. Von Lewinsky declining to Faust there. Low on munitions, and the Su-85 is still at full health, so the Faust would not have plus the engine. So that's actually a pretty smart time to not Faust. I do actually like the decision making there. That's pretty cool. Kettenwerfer though, going to find that Su-85. T-34 comes out, and this is a good T-34 because this T-34 is a ablative unit for the Su-85. When you have an Su-85, I am all for building a T-34 because those two units synergize really well. Wow, this Kettenwerfer is doing work, actually. We need, like, some indirect fire to come down on this thing, but the mortar tube has been killed. So, yikes. But Coast manages to hold this off. Down at 165 and bleeding, under 222. It ain't pretty, but the ingredients are here right now. The question is... Actually, wow. Okay, another Panzer IV. I feel like Von Lewinsky kind of umming and ahhing a bit about the tech, because if you cancel this Panzer IV, you're at 250 fuel. You build the mechanized regiment, then you're at 200 fuel, which is like 2 and a bit minutes of saving for KT. So I actually think that this Panzer IV is kind of a mistake. I think stick to your guns, complete the tech tree, wait a minute or two, hold out, get the KT, and try to win that way, because I don't think a Panzer IV is really a good choice when you know your opponent actually has the Su-85. Like... I mean, the KT isn't the best choice when your opponent has an Su-85. The Su-85 definitely does thrive shooting against the KT, and the KT is so slow that the Su-85 can be so agonizing to fight against because you're just taking hit after hit after hit, and you just can't bring the Su-85 to bear. Like, you just can't lock it into a fight where the KT is being meaningful. But I still think that the KT is just a more powerful unit than a Panzer IV. IL-2 rocket run here comes down. I think it did kill a unit in that building. Not entirely sure which... Oh, was it a unit of Obersoldaten? Or was it one of the Kettenwerfers, actually? I think it was one of the Kettenwerfers, maybe? Which is really annoying, because now the Kettenwerfer isn't actually dropped. Yeah, it was one of the Kettenwerfers. Oh, no. That's really unfortunate for Lewinsky. So that actually forces a rebuy, which he doesn't have the manpower for right now. But I think he does need the two Kettenwerfers. I think this is a really hard thing to do without two Kettenwerfers. Okay, so Soviet forces grab south. That's really important. And Soviet forces are grabbing mid. Panzer IV is going to come in to try and push them away. Su-85 ought to respond. There we go.
Enemy forces capturing supply sector.
I mean, the second Panzer IV is kind of cool because it does let you push in two locations at once, like, quite nicely. And so that's useful when this game's about VPs, which it is. Soviet forces get onto north. Every single transfer of victory point control is, like, turbo relevant in this game. Because we are at the 40-minute plus stage. These two players are getting quite exhausted in terms of the scoreline. So every single victory point there for a second was white and transitioning control. It's going to be Coast, of course, who comes out ahead in this with 2-to-1 victory point controls. And now I think if you're Coast, I think it's probably appropriate to call in some guards. Because I think your infantry roster needs buffing up. It's like not quite big enough. This game's going to be about pushing VPs. Guards are really nice. You can put DPs on them. Or a Katusha, actually. Because your opponent is relying substantially on weapon teams. Like the MG and the Kettenwerfer are probably the most important units right now for the Axis player. Maybe? I mean, that and the Panzer IVs, but yeah. And when a game goes late and becomes about grindy victory point control like this, well, that's when rocket artillery is, like, at its best. Obersoldaten here get within range of a Zis gun, starts scything down the crew on that one. Maxim gun feels compelled to rotate, but they're not actually in the arc. Ooh, they're still not in the arc. Panzer IV comes rampaging forth. Su-85 will turn to answer. Su-85 going to continue to push here. Can use focus sight to... There we go. Did that shot just disappear? Weird. But yeah, I feel like if we had a Katusha, we could just like make these squads fall back, and then it's much easier to fight.
Our enemy has only 200 points. Fresh guards troops are standing by.
Okay, it's going to be guards. This is acceptable. Guards going to start coming out onto the map here. DPLMG comes down on them straight away. And I do like this. Like, you do need just more sort of core infantry squads who can push onto, you know, onto points. Wow, engaging into the Panzer IV here. A touch awkward. Let's see if the Su-85 opts to turn and come in here. Oh dear, our guards are a bit clustered here. Ooh, that Panzer IV cannon can really do a number on them. I'm not sure about just letting these guards trade out for no value here. I mean, we're sort of shooting at this Kettenwerfer, but it's not really worth it. All of the engineers have had to fall back for the Soviet player, so no repairs forthcoming. Actually, the Soviet player's position super compacted right now. Axis can move out and grab triple cap on control. Control of, like, triple cap, I guess is what I mean. So that seems pretty good. These Volks are just like, no, we're not going to go up there. They just froze for some reason. Maxim gun gets totes pinned. Bundaroo grenade comes down. I think Coast is busy microing elsewhere. That'll be the demise of the 3-star Maxim gun, so it's kind of all just coming a bit undone here for Coast. The Su-85 is at half health. If a kill can somehow be cobbled together on that, this game is just over pretty much. Well, actually, he kind of almost has enough money to replace it, so maybe not. But Volksgrenadier is finally going to get up onto north. Establishing that triple cap is the most meaningful thing to be done on the map right now, so nice work to von Lewinsky. Engineers finally going to be able to hook up with the Su-85. Oh wow, Panzer IV comes in for a dive. Oh, that's nice. The Kettenwerfer was there on the ambush. The Zis gun was not correctly rotated. The Su-85 was a bit too far forward without adequate support. That will be a pickoff, and now life is going to be very difficult for Coast in this game. Going to try to put some more damage on this Panzer IV. Zis gun helping out nicely. T-34 not really able to deliver the goods against this Panzer IV, and the rocket strafe is ready actually. So, but now the other Panzer IV is getting involved in the fight. There's Faustable infantry here on support, and if we lose this T-34, things start looking like totes unretrievable. So, oh my god, he's still going to keep fighting with it. Conscripts get up on top of this squad, but Obersoldaten won't let them live long. Not to mention the 5-star Fallschirmjägers. Where's the Kettenwerfer? Oh, it's just not in the fight. So he's going to grab his mortar back. Oh no. Wow, both of these armies so exhausted. Look at the top left, look at the top right. Oh my god, another T-34. You literally had the money for the Su-85. I just... I guess the T-34 does build faster and you need it to be out. I think it builds faster. I'm pretty sure it builds faster. Alright, so Soviets back off the clock. 26 tickets remaining. And he has recrewed that mortar. Now there are 2 T-34s, and he's actually still got a ton of fuel left over, so he could take another fuel spending choice here. Axis forces get up onto mid though, so we need to get them off really. Mortar gets picked down by the Fallschirmjägers, that's nice. Panzer IVs are going to come in here, sensing weakness. The 2-star T-34 is actually turbo weak right now. Panzer IV's coming in, that should be a kill. The other T-34 comes in, but I mean the Panzer IVs will take this one as well if you let them. The Zis gun is just long gone. Actually, yeah, there's nothing to stop the Panzer IVs, and that will be game. Coaster's just going to be forced out of the game there. It all just kind of came undone over that last phase of play. Just kind of units started getting hemorrhaged, and the battle line was never really reformed for the Soviet player there. I don't know. Interesting game, but I feel like there are a lot of mistakes made by both players. I mean, I like the commander pick from von Lewinsky. That was really good. The Fallschirmjägers, just 58 kills. Woo. They did well. I know there were 2 squads and their sister squad did sort of die, but like early game control was just taken by those 2 squads of Fallschirmjägers. Like conscripts alone were just not really enough. Even conscripts with the Maxim, not really enough to hold off the Fallschirmjägers. And Airborne Company was taken, but just one load of SVDs was called in for like ages. So like, what are we doing? You know, we have to actually, if that's the plan, then we have to execute the plan, right? We can't just have munitions sitting in the bank not being value, and then if the plan was not to buy the SVDs and buy the munitions later, then why are we buying the SVDs later? So that clearly there were some execution issues with this commander is what I'm saying. And that's fine. You know, I'm not saying like, oh my God, this guy's terrible, he should give up the game. Like, not at all, no. I'm just saying, you know, looking for ways in which the Soviet player could like possibly have changed the way this game went. And one of the ways is by having more efficient conscripts in that early game when you were struggling against Fallschirmjägers. Like, because if you have 3 or 4 squads of conscripts with SVDs, then you can actually kind of pick down those Fallschirmjägers pretty quick, actually, and like really minimize the window in which the Fallschirmjägers are being profitable against your units. There was Maxims built pretty early on, which I think is a bit weird because a Maxim costs, what was it, 260 to call in? Was it? Oh, he's actually, has he lost his support weapon? Oh, here it is. So Maxim gun costs 260 to call in, whereas calling in a Dansak costs 125 and 50 munitions. Now, he actually had the munitions. So the Dansak's actually cheaper in terms of manpower, which then lets you get another squad a little bit faster. I appreciate 125 isn't the complete cost because you also need like 3 more conscripts to put on it as reinforcing. So it's like a bit more than that. But like, all I'm saying is the Dansak was comparable in cost, but actually is a better machine gun. And I mean, if you're going airborne, like, why not call in the spicy Dansak, man? It feels good. I don't know. And then in the later stages of the game, I mean, I think he built too many T-34s at times when he had no business doing so, which I made very clear at the time, and I'm not going to go on about now. And then the Su-85 did come out. It was good. It killed a Panzer IV, maybe more, I can't remember. And remember, you know, if an Su-85 contributes to or substantially kills a Panzer IV, I mean, the Panzer IV is 140 fuel. The Su-85 is 135, so you're already kind of looking okay there. And it did sort of keep the Panzer IVs back and sort of dominate play and sort of change the texture of the game in the way that we hope and expect Su-85s to do. That's great. But then we had this awkward moment where the Su-85 got put down to like half health and the engineers had to fall back, so the repairs just took too long, and a Panzer IV, like, von Lewinsky just identified the opportunity to get a Panzer IV up on top of the Su-85 with a Kettenwerfer pushing for support, and like a half-health Su-85 that's left out exposed against front fog of war just can't survive under those circumstances. So like, you, as terrible as it sounds, because the Su-85 wants to be locking down all this area, it does want to be hovering around here in the situation there, but if the Su-85 is up against the fog of war, that's too dangerous. You can't do that. So you need to pull it back. I know it feels bad, but you have to pull it back behind your units. Su-85s are only good if they are insulated against the fog of war. If your Su-85s are the first unit on the front, and you know, if the first thing you know about the incoming panzers is when they come out of fog of war against your Su-85, then it's already too late. You'll not be winning that. The Su-85 is all about knowing where your opponent is approaching from so that you can have it rotated correctly and taking shots and utilizing its range. Which of course I know everybody out there knows that. I'm stating the basics here, but that is kind of why we saw that Su-85 die. It was just in an awkward spot at less than half health. And, you know, there's a lot going on for these players to control. God knows I've made far worse mistakes, and I make far worse mistakes every game that I play. So, you know, that's cool. And then once the Su-85 went down, I feel like Coast never really had the AT resources to significantly challenge for the game again, because he lost his Zis gun, and just, you know, we were able to build another T-34 or two, but I mean, like, they don't really do very much. So yeah, there we go. Cool. All right, interesting couple of games today. I mean, there were no absolutely dynamite players out on the ladder to cast, so bit of a shame to some extent, but, you know, that's what you get when you cast from the live game ladder. It's always going to be a mixed bag, and, you know, I actually kind of like that. I kind of relish the fact that you just never know what's going to happen in a game because I'm casting them live off the ladder. That, for me, is exciting, and that's why I do it. So, yeah, I mean, that will conclude today's cast. Probably going to be casting again tomorrow because, you know, we're still in lockdown. We ain't got much else to be doing. So, yeah, thank you very much for spending your time with me today. And this, for now, Magpie842 signing out.